Hey YouTube family, it's your girl Jazzy, getting jazzy with Jazz, and it's new and improved. So I will be bringing y'all all content, all exclusive content, every one of your best reality shows that you like. Not starting with even Love and Marriage Huntsville whenever it comes back, and it's not just any reality show. So if y'all want to have a good time with me, just like I want to have a good time with y'all, let's go ahead and get into this video. Hey. Good early morning. It is 1:03 a.m. in the morning, and I'm bringing y'all Love Island Season 7, Episode 36. This is the finale, y'all. It was 2 hours, and I was on I was on pins and needles when I tell you this was a good episode, and what needed to be done finally was done, because everybody had a date. And I know Nick and Alandria, their date was first. And they had the most beautiful date. It was like on the mountains, and then they had to get bottles. It was like wine glasses that had notes in them. And the one that touched me the most is the one that came from his dad. And he was just saying that he can't wait to meet Alandria, and he is looking forward, to spending time and meeting Alandria. And he said that he can't wait to meet Alandria. And I said, oh, it's gonna be dinners, there's gonna be, they're gonna have family dinners and all that stuff, and everybody really likes her. And I'll be honest, y'all, and I'm gonna just tell y'all, I didn't believe in Nick and Alandria. I did not think that they were a good couple at first. I didn't think that they were a good match. And it was just like a long line of like redemption, like the redemption mode for me, because I didn't believe in none of the couples. Because I definitely didn't want Nick and Alandria to win. If I kept voting and all that stuff, I said they not gonna win, because I'm gonna continue to vote and make sure that they don't win. I didn't think they were a good couple. However, they actually fooled me, and they turned out to be an okay couple. And I was just thinking, I said, Nick turned out to be good too. He turned out to be okay. And I couldn't stand Nick. When I tell you I couldn't stand Nick, sorry y'all, I'm trying to switch stuff around. When I tell y'all I couldn't stand Nick, I could not stand him. I couldn't stand Nick and the Man in the Moon. So, I couldn't stand him. And I ain't believe in their couple or nothing like that. But they shocked me. That was the cutest day in which I believe that they made me cry. And I said, oh. And I was more or less happy for Alandria, because I said she finally found somebody that liked her and appreciated her for her. And sometimes you have to go through the bad apples, to get to the good apple. And I said, okay, she had to go through Taylor, and he wasn't okay. He wasn't right for her. However, now that we know who's right for her, it is Nicholas. Like his mom said on the last episode, when his sister said, we see you on the ring camera, the night cam. And then his mother said, Nicholas. And public. I said, his mama, if I ain't remember nothing from when his family came, I got tickled to pieces when his mama said, Nicholas, in public. And I said, and he said, Oh, whoa, no. I'm like, Nicholas was cutting up. He was cutting up, most definitely. But date number 2 was good old Iris and Pepe. And when I tell you their date was so good, I would have never thought that Pepe owned a boat. And their date was, and I said, oh, they gonna go sailing and stuff like that. And I didn't think it was gonna be, cause I didn't really care for that couple either. And all these couples, I promise you, they all changed my mind on this episode. So Pepe and Iris, they had the nicest boat, and they were walking to his boat, and then they started sailing, and then she started driving it and all that, and then they stopped, and then they jumped in the water. And when I tell you, when they jumped in the water, I saw jellyfish, and I saw starfish, and I saw all fish, and then I even saw a turtle. I said, oh, I love animals that's in the water. I really do. And I said, oh, and I said, well, hopefully she won't get stung by the stingray, because I saw a stingray too. And I almost got stung by a stingray. That's a story for another day. But I said, that was just so perfect of a date. And then, they were just laying on the boat when they got out the water, and they was just chilling. And I said, oh, I had to get them this. I said, okay, so they really like each other. I didn't think that old Pepe was even worthy of nothing. And I said, okay, Pepe, you didn't surprise me. He was saying that he liked old boring Iris, because Iris is boring now. He said he liked old boring Iris. And I said, oh, okay. So he like old boring Iris. Okay. We're going to let them have it. They had a wonderful day. And then the third day, but okay, let me just say this. Huda was in a bad mood going on her day when it was her day, her and Chris's day. Because before, when they all found out, all the men found out that they were going to be going on dates, then they all was so happy, and they all had like pillow fights and all that stuff. They was hitting each other with the pillows and all that stuff. And then Amaya was like, we made it to the final. Like, we made it to the final. And she was doing like this. Brian was laying down. And she was on his back. I said, she's so playful. And then they was all pillow fighting and all that. And then why Chris decided to pillow fight with Huda ass. And then he hit her with the pillow, I guess, hard enough for her to say, Chris, no, look what you did to my nose, bro. I said, oh, Lord, not bro. And then she ran to the bathroom over there, and she came back, and she had something on her nose. And I said, so did he make your nose bleed or whatever? I said, moving on. I said, because she dramatic. Moving on. And then that's what happened. So that's what made her in a bad mood. And when it was time for their date, anybody would have loved this date. A normal person would have loved this date. And he was really, really trying. And it was pretty. It was a candlelight dinner. And I liked it. And it was just like on the water, candlelight dinner on the water. And I said, oh. And then they was drinking their champagne and stuff like that. And then they were talking. Well, she was like, what's wrong? You want to talk about something? You want to talk about something? I'm like, Huda, no, he don't. I don't believe he do. And then she was like, okay, well, let's eat. And then You know she brought this stuff. You know she brought up the last issue and the last argument. You know she don't let nothing go. Every past issue that she had with Chris that he didn't address, how she thought that he should have addressed, you know she brought it back up. And when she brought that back up, then it started a whole nother argument. I'm like, Huda, stop. Whole nother argument. Just a whole nother argument. And I'm talking to y'all without my notes. Because, I mean, it just was so, I couldn't. So, you know, she was putting the blame on Chris for everything. Every past issue, every past argument. Now, that she was starting now. And about him not initiating contact with her and him not wanting to be intimate with her and all that. And I'm like, girl, let me tell you something, Huda. I said, baby girl, he don't like you. I've been saying he don't like you. He's not interested in you. And what I was waiting for Chris to do, I was waiting for Chris to let her down easy and tell her, just like he told her on this episode. I was waiting for him to tell her that he didn't want her. He didn't like her. This and this and that. And then, when I tell you, he was trying to talk to her. And he was trying to have a conversation with her. And when he was trying to have a conversation with her, she was doing this. I'm like, girl, what now? What? I said, oh, okay. That's how you doing it. Okay. And then I'm like, you steady disrespecting him. And honestly speaking, he didn't never say nothing or he never cussed her out like he probably needed to. He never cursed her out or nothing like that. And it's like she was starting with him the whole time. And I'm like, this is supposed to be a good day. Y'all supposed to be talking to each other. And then it's like she just, and then it was a lady that was waiting to sing and play a little nice song. I don't know what song she was playing, but it was so sensual and it was so nice, and it was meant for them to be romantic and for them to get it together and have a good time. And they were not having a good time. And then the lady, she was just a singing, and then Huda was like, and Chris was looking. And then as soon as she left, they both said, and then it went back to, and then they were drinking. No, Huda was drinking. And I said, And when I tell y'all nothing got accomplished, she still wasn't saying nothing, worth nothing. And then he just pretty much asked her, he said, well, pretty much what's up? What's going on? Where we gonna go from here? What we gonna do from here? And then she just took it up on herself to say, well, I think we should just be friends. And when she said that, I said, what, girl? What? Thank you. Praise Jesus. Praise God. Praise everybody up above. Yes. And when she said that, it was like, I figured. He said, no love lost, no hard feelings. He was like, I figured. I was just waiting for you pretty much to say it. That's what he said. He was waiting for her to say it. He said, because he could tell. And I'm like, you could tell. Everybody in America could tell, including myself. And when I tell you, that was the biggest sigh of, okay, now I can start enjoying Love Island again. That girl, she used to just make me just be like, ugh. Because she was just so negative. She was so negative. And he said, I can't do this. And then he just left. And then he left, and then she then he came back. He said, why you crying? What's wrong? Why you crying? What's going on? Talk to me. And she was like, don't you know? She poured her some more champagne. And then she had the nerve, she had the good old God nerve to sit up there and say, are you gonna make me walk, or are you gonna carry me? And don't you know he left? And I'm like, right. I said, girl, is you crazy? Is you crazy? I said, okay, getting off of her, he left her. And I'm like, no ma'am, you don't get to get carried. He not gonna pick you up. The way that you be acting, do you have a mental disorder? Like, for real, are you bipolar by any chance? I said, maybe so. Moving on. It was nice, and when I tell you that they walked from their place to the villa. And then Amaya, I got a text. And I said, finally somebody finna go on the last date. And I said, a sour date is gonna turn into a good day. And when I tell you, Amaya and Brian's date, it was so sweet. So sweet. And it was dinner, and then it was like a couch, and it was like an old school couch or whatever, and it was a lot of stuff on the coffee table, and I do remember it was some champagne and stuff on the coffee table. And then it was an old camera, and then it was a book, a picture book, and it showed them from both of them from their stages of life, growing up, from babies. So Pepe and Iris was last place. Huda and Chris were third place. Alandria and Nicholas was second place. And Amaya and Brian, they won. They was first place, y'all. I was so happy. And I had to give my little girl a hug because we was both voting for the same people to win. And I said, if Amaya Papaya don't win, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, she going to win. She going to win. Because she is America's sweetheart. She's America's sweetheart. I was so happy. And I was so happy for her. And, you know, they had to do the little envelopes. And then she said that you're going to each get an envelope. One is empty and no money. And then one of them is $100,000. And what happened is, Amaya's was empty, of course. And then Brian's was $100,000. And then Ariana, she gave him the opportunity to pick if he wanted to split the money with her. And then he said, of course I want to split the money with her. And I said, oh, I was a ball of tears. And I was like, oh, Amaya and Brian. They had the fireworks at their day. And then they had the fireworks again at the winning. And I said, they did it. 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 And I did it. Because they didn't stress me. I'm telling y'all, they stressed me out on this damn show. And honestly speaking, y'all, I came out with a different mindset for everybody. I said, Iris still boring, but she all right. And believe it or not, y'all, I said Hurricane Huda. I said, I hate to say it, but she all right too. Alandria, she all right too. Everybody was all right. I just was ready for this show to be over. They stressed me out. And we have to wait until August for the reunion. But I'll be ready. I'll be ready. And I will be reviewing it. So we had a breakup. We knew Chris and Huda wasn't gonna last. But anyway, y'all, y'all didn't see me look at my notes. All these notes that I wrote, y'all, I wrote 3 pages of notes. And I remember this whole episode, and I remember how I wanted to let y'all know about it. And this was my finale episode. And the winners are, again, Amaya Papaya and Brian. Love Island Season 7, Episode 36. And I'm going to say it's the dirty finale. Yeah, Love Island all day. Good night, y'all. Good night, YouTube family. I'm about to go to bed because it's after 1 o'clock. Bye, y'all. Have a good night. I'm going to get this uploaded. I'm going to be uploading while I'm in the bed. Good night, y'all. Sleep tight. And I hope y'all have a blessed night, okay? Bye. So, like I was saying, with Amaya and Brian, they showed them from babies to elementary to junior high to high school to adults, and then they showed them full force now. And it was just so nice to just see the different phases of their life. And Amaya saw his and he saw Amaya's. And then they had that camera, and they had it was a blank page at the back, and it says memories. And they both took a picture, Polaroid, and then when their Polaroid printed out, and they put the picture back there, and then he said that he asked Amaya if she would be exclusive with him, and they weren't exclusive. And then it was so sweet because it was fireworks, and I said, oh. Then it was time for them to go back to the house. And then when she came back, it was time for them to vote. And that was the video, YouTube family. Have a good night. I will be reviewing more, so just keep a lookout for my YouTube channel, and I'm going to keep reviewing content for you. Reality shows, every reality show that you can think of that's on TV, your girl going to be reviewing it for y'all. Bye-bye. Y'all have a good night. Bye, YouTube family.